Can such things be? Chapter 1. The Noisy Ghosts of Calvados Castle. Calvados Castle is a gloomy-looking castle in France. It was built hundreds of years ago in the Middle Ages. Cold and damp, the castle hardly looks like a place in which anybody would want to live. If you saw it, you might think it was a perfect place for a ghost. And you would be right. Calvados Castle is haunted. The first record of ghostly happenings came in 1875. The family and the servants that lived in the castle were disturbed night after night by mysterious sounds. They decided to place threads across the open doors. They hoped that the threads would be broken so they could learn where the intruders came in. The sounds continued, but the threads were never broken. The owner began keeping a diary of the strange events. The diary tells that on the night of October 13th, 1875, a teacher employed by the family was alone in his room. All of a sudden, he heard a series of raps on the wall. He saw the candlestick moving by itself on the mantelpiece. Terrified, the teacher called the owner of the castle. The owner came into the room and examined it closely. He found that a chair which had been tightly bound down to the floor had moved toward the fireplace. For the next 2 days, loud poundings on the castle walls continued. The owner of the castle armed himself and went in search of the noisemakers, but he found nothing. He heard only the sound of ghostly footsteps. For a few days, the poundings on the wall and other noises stopped, but it was only a short rest. On October 31st, the castle was filled with ghostly sounds and noises. The owner wrote in his diary of that disturbed night. He said that the noises sounded as if someone were running up the stairs with superhuman speed, stamping his feet. When the loud steps reached the first-floor landing, there were 5 heavy blows on the wall. Then it seemed as if a heavy log were thrown against the wall. The house shook with the blow. Everybody ran out on the landing to see what had made the sounds. But they found nothing. Returning to their rooms, they heard the noises beginning once again. The noises stopped only at 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, the family fell into an exhausted sleep. The next night, the weird noises continued. This time, everyone was awakened by the sound of a body rolling down the stairway. When it finally thumped to the bottom of the stairs, something seemed to pound wildly on the walls. Night after night, the sounds continued. Loud blows rocked the castle's walls. Ghostly footsteps ran from one place to another. The family and the servants were terrified. In his diary, the owner described the footsteps as having nothing human about them. He wrote that they sounded like 2 legs without feet walking on the stumps. By the middle of November, the ghosts seemed to be even more threatening. So far there had been only thumpings, but now there began wild screams and noises. There were long shrieks, one after another. It sounded as if a woman were crying for help. The cries filled the entire castle. Screams, moans, groans, and all kinds of unearthly sounds echoed through the halls and the cellars. The sounds frightened the listeners. The owner wrote that they sounded like the cries of demons or the damned. Not only was the castle filled with noises, but the furniture suddenly began to move. Beds overturned by themselves. Windows were flung open. Chairs shifted from one place to another. The family's Bibles were torn to shreds. There were even attacks on people. The owner's wife went to the door of a room from which noises were coming. She put out her hand to open the door. Before she could touch the door, she saw the key turn quickly in the lock. It flew out and hit her left hand. The blow was so strong that her hand turned black and blue. The following months brought no relief, only new and more horrible sounds.